On Two Wheels this week, Jeff takes a look at the wonderful world of sidecars. Wayne goes electric on a scooter, and we look behind the scenes at Mallory Park Racetrack.
Wonderful things, motorbikes, aren't they? In fact, that's so wonderful that some people will do absolutely anything to keep riding a bike. Even to adding a third wheel. Because as you can see, we're at Squire Sidecars down on the Cotswolds, and we're here to just find out why anyone would add a small car to the side of a bike. But first, come for a spin with me. Riding, or is that driving, an outfit, as they're known to the enthusiast, is a weird experience for the solo rider. It's pointless trying to lean into a corner. Nothing happens. You have to use your body weight and push and pull on the bars instead. But not only that, go too quick round a sharp left-hander and centrifugal force tends to lift an unladen sidecar. Right-handers are much more fun as you can power around the corner, scrubbing away that rear tyre. Manoeuvrability though is excellent, turning round in no space at all. Equally, acceleration in a straight line tends to drive the bike round the sidecar, a very, very odd feeling. Braking also feels strange at first, but you quickly get used to it. So why bother? Why not buy a car?
Well, for a lot of people it can be that it is just different. It looks interesting, it looks fun, and indeed it can be fun. But in the main it's for young families who enjoy motorcycling and want to carry on when they've got children, wives, and also for the older motorcyclists who may have a very large, heavy motorcycle, who appreciates the sort of stability that a sidecar gives, and particularly in bad weather. I think people who use sidecar outfits don't want to weave in and out of the traffic. It comes back to the fact that they want a form of motorcycling which they can do in company. And sidecar outfits, I think, are seen as a very comfortable, acceptable, friendly face of motorcycling. So people don't want to go racing when they've got a sidecar. Despite that, you can actually go very quickly.
I know you do an amazing range of sidecars here, but is there something for everyone? I mean, is it scooters to Harleys or what?
Yeah, very much so. We do small sidecars that'll fit to 200cc Vespers right up to the biggest gold wings. And certainly in a huge range of styles, because there is a market and interest in the traditional looking sidecars as well as in the ultra modern. And so Watsonian, which is the oldest, most famous name in sidecars, is represented on our classic range, and Squire is a much more modern name and hence the type of models.
I can see the quality of them. They must be expensive. Is there such a thing as a typical price, or because of that wide range it's more difficult?
They vary from sort of minimum of £1,000 for the really smallest, most basic model, right up to £3,500, £4,000 for something like this.
And is there a demand for sidecars that are that expensive?
Oh yes, I mean certainly the more expensive the sidecar we make tends to be the one we sell most of all. So people are looking not for a cheap motoring, I mean it is leisure, and when they look nice and they go well, that's what they want to pay for.
Now this Beamer that I've been out on, Peter, there's no frame on this model of BMW, so how did you go about sticking a sidecar on this?
Well, it's a modern BMW, and none of them these days have got frames as we know it, and it makes it very much more difficult, although not impossible, to fit a sidecar to. And to enable this sidecar to be attached satisfactorily to this bike, which incidentally makes a very good sidecar outfit, we have to construct a tubular cradle or subframe assembly which bolts to a number of different places on the motorcycle, and you can probably see this here, and that then enables us to bolt the sidecar onto the bike. But it is difficult, but it's one of the sort of jobs that we're doing all the time.
So is there any bike that you can't fit a sidecar to then?
Very few. Some of the most modern sports bikes which have aluminium frames are very difficult, because aluminium as a material will fatigue and crack if you bend it, and so you have to be very, very careful. So broadly speaking, most bikes, but not all of them by any chance.
And one of the other subtle changes you had to do, you had to alter the steering geometry a bit and increase the trail, didn't you?
Yes.
And is this something you have to do with all road bikes? You know?
No, they do vary, but all road bikes have a steering geometry which has very heavy self-centering or caster action, and on some bikes it's quite important to change that geometry, and in this case we've done it by a method of changing a plate where the bottom steering joint goes, and there are other methods like leading link forks that you can use, and all of these will vary from bike to bike.
There's an art in fitting it to this BMW, certainly, and it's not something for the DIY guy, is it? So where do people go? Do they have to come to you?
We have a few dealers, a few specialist companies who are used to doing this sort of work, but in the main we tend to fit a larger majority of our UK sales, but then only 40% of our sales are in England, 60 plus 70% are overseas.
OK, I can understand the attraction, but I'm still not a convert. I can appreciate the fun element. I can see that you'll be a talking point wherever you go, but for me, I'd rather be on two wheels. A genuine case of two wheels better.
So if you had one of these and you were doing what, 25-30 miles to the gallon, you'd spend a few quid every week, wouldn't you, on petrol? Nah, you don't want one of them, you want one of these. The thing is though, this will probably only do 40-45 miles to the gallon. But you might prefer one of these because you can save a few quid with these, because these do anything like 80-90 miles to the gallon. Eh? If you're a bit penny conscious, this is just the machine. Yeah. So, 20 odd miles to the gallon, 40 odd miles to the gallon, 80 odd miles to the gallon. You'd think 80 was quite economical, wouldn't you? This is better, because this is a zero emission jobby. It doesn't take petrol as we know it, diesel as we know it, it's a plug in the ball jobby, electronic. In fact, there's more emission comes out of a cow's backside stood in a field than this will do in a year. I'm going to have a go of it and see what it's like. Brum, 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 bam, bam. Speed cameras there, catch me if you can. Alright, Mr. Ed, how are you? Hello, my name's Ed. Well, you're only 1 horsepower, but I've got a few. I don't know how many, and not a lot, to be honest with you, but just enough to get me around town, round the country lanes, and up a few hills, although not many big ones. And if you were 2 up, you'd have no chance. But that's not the purpose of this particular machine. It is an economical buzz around, a rev and go electric powered machine, low cost. Let me just take you around the machine. Let's start with this baby on the dashboard. These are nifty here, these buttons. They're an anti-theft device. You set your own number into the bike so nobody can nick it. Pretty good, eh? So we've programmed it with a real simple number for a simple fella. Turn the ignition on, just as you would do a normal machine. You press your coded number. Don't look, will you? I don't want anyone else to know it. And that's it. That is actually running now, would you believe? And if you turn the accelerator, the back wheel will just go round very, very slowly, and it'll set off quite slowly. But if you want to get going super fast, turbo time, press the starter button, and it's double power. Simple as that. You've got a horn button that makes the most strange sound, but would you believe that's sufficiently good enough to annoy dogs and make dogs get out the road? But if you want to get rid of the usual pedestrian, you press the regular horn button. Indicators as you'd expect, lights as you'd expect, and that is it. On the dashboard, you've got your normal information, your speedo, and the amount of miles you've done. Little lights to indicate how much power you've got left, and a source here to tell you that basically you better pull over quick because you're just about to die. If you get stuck anywhere and you want to boost a bit more power in, under the seat is the plug-in bit, and I'll show you that. So here we go. Under the seat is not a big hole. Ordinarily you'd see a great big hole, cavernous hole that you can stick a helmet into, but not on this one, because that's where all your battery power is, and you plug it in like that and recharge the batteries, and it's as simple as that. So there's no filling up with petrol, no messing around, no getting your hands dirty, no two-stroke of course, which is a normal added cost, simply battery power under there. Now then, back up front again. They've accommodated the problem by sticking a little compartment up front. By pressing this little button here and lifting this forward, look, voila, a hole. It's not big enough to take a full face helmet, but plenty big enough to take a regular open face helmet with a visor. Okay, the bike's got regular things such as standard brakes. In this case they've actually used a drum brake at the front and a drum brake at the back, but that's sufficiently good enough for a bike that will travel no more than 30-35 miles an hour. It's got your standard 10-inch tyres on it. They're actually low profile, but I mean, you're not going scratching, are you? And there's not a lot I can tell you technically, because there's not a lot you need to know about it technically. It's a simple rev and go. It's very economical, quite enjoyable to ride. You can't hear it. You don't even know if you're travelling fast or slow. It's quite pleasant when you're travelling around the country lanes, of which I feel the need to go and do. So I'm just going to burn some rubber. Burning rubber? I don't think so. Burning some kilowatts of electricity maybe, and not so much of that either, because this little beast will travel around 30 miles on one complete charge of 5 hours. Should you get a little low on power, then all you have to do is give it a quick charge of 10 minutes and it'll take you around 3 miles. To charge the Peugeot, all you have to simply do is plug it into the mains. And the batteries are guaranteed for 4 years or 100,000 miles, and they're designed by NASA. So if they can get a man to the moon and back, this bike will get you to work and back. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was enjoyable. Could have sworn he had an exhaust on that on Wednesday. Never mind. Anyway, I have to go now. I hope you don't mind, but I think I've got a customer in the showroom who wants some details about the electric bike. Won't be long. Okay, if you'd like to just come in and make yourself comfortable in my office, sir. Lovely. Let's sit down. Great. Right. Now, before we fill any details in on the finance form, I should give you some figures. You can buy one of these little electric scooters from Peugeot for £2,499 on the road. Now, are you a licence holder already, sir? Do you have a car licence, for example? Right, with a car licence, you can ride one legally without L plates, and you can even take a passenger. Okay, but I do advise you have some lessons first, just for safety. Right, do you have a family, for example? Oh, well, we can do a special policy for the moment, all done by Peugeot for 225 quid, fully comprehensive, 4 members of the family. So I'll put that on the agreement. And with that added on, and break your payments down, say, over 3 or 4 years, would you believe you can actually buy one of these little electronic scooters and run it? That means fuel as well. Plug it in the wall, get some power into it. You can run it in total for less than £20 a week. Now that's less than you probably already put petrol in your car. And at the end of it, you can obviously flog it as well and get a newer or a better one. So I think the best thing for you to do, sir, if you'd just like to put your name and sign on the dotted line, I'll fill all the details in later on. Don't worry about the figures, trust me. Lovely, smashing.
After the break, a look behind the scenes at Mallory Park. Isn't that pretty there? Very nice, isn't it? It's not actually a tropical island in a sunny place, it's actually Mallory Park in Leicestershire, a racetrack in case you didn't recognise it. Now, many of you will have been here on a number of occasions and indeed visited the various racetracks throughout the country, but you generally only come here for a couple of reasons. One, it's a race meeting that you want to go and see who's going to win, and B, it's possibly a track day and you've booked in and you fancy a blast around the circuit. But a place like this is active many days throughout the year for various activities, and there's an awful lot involved in the upkeep and the running of a race circuit, as we're about to find out. Follow me. David, tell me, how did you become a director of Mallory Park?
Well, I suppose it's a bit of a dream come true for anybody who's interested in motorsport. Many years ago, my family and my parents came here to Mallory Park at a club race meeting, and we enjoyed it, and we just got more and more involved. We started off spectating, became marshals, officials. My parents eventually became secretary of the local car racing organising club, and then eventually they actually worked here. And when the circuit was sold, we started a company, and we actually now run it. And I've been here for 6-7 years now, and really in charge of the day-to-day operation and running of the circuit.
You've got an off-road bit as well, haven't you? You have some different kind of activities on.
That's indeed we do. It's some really different activities. I mean, not only do we have Land Rovers and stalwarts, we have military tanks, which is quite a unique feature of a circuit, and very, very popular. Actually quite easy to drive, and unfortunately the guns don't work.
Yeah, just as well, really. Yeah, you wouldn't really be here today unless you were involved in racing of some description. So what's this that's going on today?
Well, this is a general practice day today, so anybody who holds a competition licence can come along to Mallory Park and try their racing car or racing motorbike. And we're the only circuit that actually runs regular testing. We do it every week, every Wednesday, and it's very popular. Yeah. It's not only an income-producing event for the circuit, it's a service to the sport, because people do need to go somewhere to practice, especially early on in the season when they've got new cars, new drivers, new parts to try out, whatever.
Now, one thing you must have if you come on a track day or you're practicing, you must have good medical support, and you couldn't get better here than Pete Winsome of Ambulink. The last time I saw you, Pete, I was flat on my back, I seem to remember.
Yeah, that was at Donington Park. I think you missed my claims, but I hope you're better now.
Yes, I am, fully recovered. There we are. On a day like today, I mean, I suppose it's a good day if you don't have any business, isn't it?
That's right, we want to be like the vultures in Jungle Book, just sit there saying what you're going to do. But when something happens, we do go. We do go big time.
How's today gone so far?
Not too bad with the numbers out on circuit, because it's beginning of the season, it's good weather. Mallory's a good circuit, we've got a lot of bikes out, but we've only had one off. My other ambulance has actually taken them into Leicestershire this time.
Right, but he's not too badly hurt?
Possibly a couple of broken bones, but we've got to have a high suspicion of a C-spine injury, so they've actually made him a spinal case.
Right, okay, and hopefully, as you say, we won't get any more tumbles today anyway.
As long as you keep off of a bike, Jeff, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Probably your biggest bike event would be British Superbikes.
Yes, the MTN British Superbikes, in which we run in August. That'll attract 15-20,000 spectators, and by far and away is probably it's certainly the biggest meeting we get. We get 3 times as many spectators there as we do at any other meeting. So we really have to gear up for that, with a lot of extra staff and hiring extra fields for car parking. So it's a challenge, but we enjoy it.
I bet it's a challenge, yeah. But you must say you've got the best view of the lot here, haven't you?
It's not bad, you've got cracking.
It's like your own private box on the hairpin, isn't it? Perfect, yeah. But over the years, you must have seen some fantastic races here and some famous people. Is there one particular race that stands out for you? One particular meeting that you've seen so much here?
Yeah, well, in fact, the first motorcycle meeting I came to here was in 1978 when Mike Hale made his comeback, and he came here after winning on the Isle of Man to the post-TT meeting, and on a Ducati, and certainly remember that very, very well, because I'd seen Mike race in cars, I'd never seen him on a motorbike, and his style was good, very quick, very smooth, and obviously the great name.
Now, while Paul's loading it with management, as it were, we're down at the sharp end here. I'm with Wayne Pearson. He's the sort of clerk of the course, and well, you're everything man, aren't you, when we've got a race on?
Well, not exactly racing today, but we've got, you've caught us on a bad day. We've got nearly 130, nearly 140 bikes here. We're trying to keep everybody happy. We've had like 5 red flags, people jumping off everywhere. Really, it's getting a bit busy out there, but while we've got the sidecars on at the moment, it's time to relax a minute, really.
Well, do the sidecars behave then?
The sidecars behave, but there's not as many of them. There's only about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say the solos causing more problems. Everybody has, an off day, but we're really busy today. So.
Interestingly, when you said it's a bad day, is that just because of the volume of people, is it?
Well, the sun's out for a start. I mean, I think most of the people here check the weather forecast the night before, and if it's sunny, we'll head for Mallory. It's cheap, we can go around till we're dizzy, and come and race on a Sunday and have a good day out, really.
Right. So you'd rather it was raining, would you? Is your job easier if it's raining?
From a totally selfish point of view, snow, frost and rain on a Wednesday's fine by me. But it's not very good for the coffers.
So you miserable devil. So what's actually your job here? You've got a grandstand view of everything going on, but I mean, how does it all work?
Really, all the bikes come down. We then have a tally up of how many bikes we've got, whether to split them into sessions, let them all go out on their own, or, I mean, sidecars are separate anyway, they look after themselves. But like say, we've got over 100 here today, so I've had to split them into 2 sessions. There's fast and slow, but that's really inverted commas.
Aren't they all racing together today?
Well,
That's what it looks like.
There should be 3 sessions really, fast, slow and liars, because you know, you get some people who are in the slow one, but they shouldn't really be in it. But like today, yeah, we have had to split them up. When they sign on, we ask them what licence have you got, and they'll tell us novice or national or whatever, and we'll split them, you know, as per their licence.
In that way. Now, you're the guys who say you've had to stop things a couple of times today. How does that work? You get feedback? You've got a radio that you're fondling there.
Yes.
Just because your marshals are in touch
Yeah,
with
I
you?
put this under my pillow at night when I go to sleep, blasted thing. If somebody falls off in a section, the marshal will radio me, say we've got a rider down or a car spun off like we had this morning, request a red flag, ambulance or rescue unit required, and we take it from there then.
Yeah. So is it the marshal who's giving you your advice? He's saying, I reckon you ought to stop it, Wayne.
Unless I can see it. I mean, if it's at the hairpin, that's totally blind from our view in the control room. So the hairpin marshal's got to recommend what he wants straight away, and we do it that way.
And how do you find the riders? Do riders respect yourself and the marshals? I mean, do they play the game?
Well, they do, yeah. I mean, sometimes you get the odd wheelie and the odd bit of stunt riding, but they're only mucking about. They don't mean any harm by it, but it does wind you up sometimes when you've got an ambulance going by and the guy passing him on the back wheel, you know. But it doesn't happen very often. No, they're normally generally pretty good. And
tell me, what's your sort of working pattern like, if you don't mind me asking? Are you here every weekend?
We're here every day. Yeah. There's 4 of us work here full time down on the circuit, plus the office staff and the management, so they keep us busy.
On Two Wheels next week, Jeff looks at motorcycle breakdown recovery, and I take a ride on Suzuki's new V-twin, the SV650S.